Android and iPhone users, welcome. BlackBerry and Windows Phone users, we will accept you. The podcast going beyond the headlines. This is the Goopplycast. Now the host, Matthew.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Goopplycast. If you're listening to us as a podcast, please come hang out with us live. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, or YouTube on Monday nights, just after 8 p.m. PST. If you prefer an audio-only version, you can find us after our live show on your favorite Android or iOS podcasting apps, including iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Matt Carter. With me today is Matt Evans. Hey, Matt.
How's it going?
Going great. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Also with us is Tim Van Claveren. Hey, Tim.
Hello.
Welcome. Roy Schlapinski is not with us tonight. He's feeling under the weather this week, so I want to wish him a speedy recovery.
Yes, definitely.
So, on tonight's show, we'll be discussing the buzz that's picked up around all the iPhone 13 rumors. I feel like there's been a surprising amount given the fact that it's only been like a handful of months since the iPhone 12.
So I feel like there's going to be a lot of rumors coming out about this because it's early on and everybody's working from home still. So it's harder for them to control leaks and everything and stuff like that. So I normally don't like to comment on rumors, but I know there are fans out there that like to do it. So I just thought that we could talk about what's out there right now and just kind of, dive into what we think would be cool on the iPhone.
I was very, very surprised to hear that, like, coming off of the iPhone 12, they had record-breaking sales for that generation. So it'll be interesting to see like which of the features that are currently rumored make it in that might at least, I don't know.
Well, so I think it was record-breaking for the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro, or 12 Pro and 12 Pro Max. I heard that the iPhone 12 didn't sell very well, but the 12 mini did sell better than the 12. So I think having the same size screen for the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro, more or less people just kind of went with the 12 Pro instead of, the 12, which, is the same size screen but has, less features and stuff like that. It's kind of like when you bring out a Pixel 4 XL and then you bring out a Pixel 5 and you take away features from it,
Why would people buy it? It's not an upgrade, really, at that point.
It's not an upgrade. You gotta do it. So, one of the things though I did read about is that there was talk that they might not do a 12 this year, but a lot of sources are saying that they're still going to do a 12 mini, a 13 mini, a 13 Pro, and then a 13 Max. So 4 new iPhones this year is rumored. The first thing go ahead.
I've been seeing some YouTubers and articles talk about the iPhone mini, at least over the iPhone mini, the iPhone 12 mini not doing as great as they expected. So it sounds like Apple is still going to do, like you said, 4 new phones for this year. But if that doesn't do well, because it's kind of like, a mid-year, they go iPhone, they do a refresh, they change the design, they maybe change some specs on like the screen size or something, and then they do like a mid-S year where they update a couple of features, but it's not like a revolution in terms of what the iPhone looks or how the experience plays out. So if they don't get what they want from the iPhone 12 mini, I wonder if they will cancel it and go back to like 3 iPhones. Something.
And it'll be kind of interesting to see what they do with the 12, with the iPhone 13, because we don't know what the name of the iPhone 13 is going to be. Most people just speculate that it'll probably be called the iPhone 13, and then it may come out and it might be the iPhone 12s. We don't know
because the last time they did an S was, like
11. No, 10s.
10s?
10s. Yeah, because we went from iPhone 11 to the iPhone 12.
And then before that
Yeah.
was like the X, and then before that was the 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had
Actually,
an XS, we had a 10s model.
Mm.
So
I wanted to ask about the name, considering that Apple skipped iPhone 9, considering that 9's a bad luck number. Do you think they'll do anything with 13, considering it's a bad luck number?
Oh,
that's interesting, actually. You
Huh.
don't know, because that is a bad luck number. Will it be called the iPhone 13, or will they skip it?
I like what Samsung did with the year, though.
Oh,
I don't know.
I
if-
do too. I do really
Yeah.
like Samsung, how they did it. They went to the 20. So who knows? Maybe the iPhone 21.
I
It would
think that would
certainly
make sense.
clear things up. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see what they do. It will be interesting to see if they call it the iPhone 13 or if they go with the iPhone 12s. That's just one of the things we usually have to wait until launch day to find out. A lot of times we do know some of the new features and stuff like that. So one of the new features, obviously, has been talked about for a while and thought might have been on the iPhone 12, was a in-display Touch ID.
Mm.
And it is supposedly rumored to be on the next version of the iPhone 13. And I feel like it would make sense to have it this year. And then iOS 14.5 released an update where you can actually use your watch to unlock your phone. So that would work for older versions that don't have an in-touch ID, but the in-display Touch ID might be a good feature for the newer iPhone, and more secure. So you have either Face ID or in-display Touch ID.
And I think it makes sense to try out that kind of security feature on iPhones, since they are like the pinnacle of security in cell phones right now. So them doing that feature.
It's interesting because when they launched the iPad Pro, the iPad Pro has the Face ID, and then the iPad Air, which is kind of like the iPad Pro pretty much, it just doesn't have the Face ID. They brought back Touch ID, but the Touch ID is not in display. It's actually on the side. It's on the power button for the phone itself. So I still feel like they could bring Touch ID and not maybe do the in display. Instead, put it on the button itself as well. If it doesn't finally make it to the final product, because obviously at this time, there's a lot of prototypes out there. So the rumors kind of go off a lot of the prototypes, but we don't know what will actually make it to the final product. Apple is always rumored to be testing, different models down at Apple Park. They've done this with years of iPhones, and it's always interesting to see what will make it to the final build. So it'll be interesting to see if it's Touch ID in display or on the button itself.
And so far, like the phones that have built-in fingerprint sensors in the screen, there's like the Galaxy S10, and then I think one of the like latest OnePlus phones have it. And does your Pixel have it?
My Pixel doesn't have it, no.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So the Pixel always had one on the back. Now it has I think the Pixel 5 has an in-touch display, but doesn't have Face ID.
Okay.
Or
and
no,
I feel
it
like
has a Touch ID on the back. I take that back. I think it has a Touch ID on the back. I don't know. Roy's not here. We should we'll find out next week whether it has it on the back or the front. I think it's on the back though.
And I feel like that's a premium feature. And even if Apple didn't integrate it into all of the new line of phones, that might be something that we could see on like a Pro or a Pro Max phone or something like that. Something where you're paying a lot of extra money for a lot of high-end features. And I feel like in-display touch is like a really elegant solution to logging into your phone. So That's where
Yeah.
I'd expect it to be if it's not on every phone, but it's a feature that I think would be cool and one I'd like to see.
Yeah.
I also think
Um,
that
Go ahead.
they could try to improve Face ID a lot, because Apple, they just seem like they're very proud about when they release something. So I almost think they're just gonna keep using Face ID just because it's their technology,
Mm.
and that they're the ones that released it pretty much first. There wasn't really any good Face Unlock before iPhone
Well, and
10.
Face ID has improved over the years. So, coming from an Android user over there, does your company work phone have a Face ID, or is it Touch ID?
Touch ID.
Yeah. So Face ID has improved over the years, because I remember when I first got it in my iPhone 10, and it was kind of slow and it didn't pick up over time. Like I felt like a lot of times it wouldn't recognize my face at first, or stuff like that, or it wasn't like you unlocked like that. So I felt like it got improved over the 10s, and I feel like onto the iPhone 12. I feel like Touch ID is pretty much, I don't even notice it anymore. So I think over time it has improved. The software has gotten faster, and they continue to improve that software. I think is where Face ID makes it stronger.
I think any feature like that where you're not thinking about which login feature to use, you just find one that is like natural for you and it works fast enough, and you're not like, oh, I could have logged in with my finger or with my password or something already. So, I mean, to hear that it has gotten fast enough to be kind of automatic and intuitive is, I don't know, credit to Apple.
Yeah. So this is another feature that I thought might be kind of cool, and it's sky photography. So essentially, you point your camera at the sky, and it can detect that you're trying to take a picture of the sky, and help make it better for you to get a picture of like the moon or the stars. So I would assume that it would be on a Pro model. I don't think it would be on like the iPhone 12, or excuse me, the iPhone 13 or 13 mini, or those lower end devices. I think it's going to be a Pro feature. But that, I think, is like, I mean, they're always trying to make the camera better, and sky photography is, kind of a complex way to take pictures. So it'll be interesting to really see how this feature comes to life, if it makes it to the final build and comes out. It could also be something that is announced at the launch, but then we don't see for a couple software updates, because sometimes they do that.
And I've heard it referred to as astrophotography. So like you were saying, you point it at the sky, like the night sky or something, and it uses machine learning to detect objects in the sky and uses Apple's awesome camera system to figure out what you're looking at. Adjust the colors, adjust zooming and such, and blur. But I didn't know. First of all, I didn't know that this was a big enough activity that they would make it a mainline feature in their phone, or even spend development time adding it to their like machine learning system. And two, I think makes complete sense for them to add it, because if you're kind of restricted from putting a bunch of new features in a new cell phone update, then you do stuff with like machine learning to make that as good as possible, because it's like, hey, why not? We want to make our machine learning even better, learn more in that field, and how to add it to our camera system, which is trying to be the best camera in cell phones. So
Well, and I feel like Apple's trying to replace the DSLR cameras. They're trying to be the next version of DSLR, and improving the camera on every possible way is got to be their plan down the line. So I think that sky photography, or whatever they're going to call it, will definitely be a game changer for cameras in the phones.
Also, I've heard rumors about them distributing the image stabilization that's on like either the Pro models or the Pro Max models down to all the other iPhones, which I think would be amazing. Because I remember
Yeah.
watching a video, like we talked about it around the time the phones came out, and I watched a video where this guy took I think it was the Pro Max 12 and the Pro Max like 11 in a helicopter and use the image stabilization while recording from this helicopter. And other than a couple like judders, it looked so smooth. And if that's on all of the other iPhones, I think that would be a major seller for Apple.
Yeah, definitely. Anything that I feel like anything that they can do to stabilize the quality of it, because Samsung has, great phones out there, and all their lineups have great image stabilization, and so that definitely brings a lot to an iPhone. Again, something that other phones already have, but Apple wants to improve on it, and I think bringing them to every iPhone that they bring out now is important. So let's see here. So MagSafe is going to be stronger. So MagSafe was their new magnets behind for charging and adding accessories to the back of your iPhone. I have a wallet that connects to the back of my iPhone, and I also have a charger. But essentially, you can MagSafe got the magnets. You can see the magnets on my clear case, and then the wallet clips on there. It's pretty safe. I don't feel like my wallet hasn't gone anywhere. But sometimes when you put it in your pocket and stuff like that, it will kind of slide off. So they are rumored to be putting much stronger magnets in there, and possibly even more magnets. One of the things that I noticed though too is for some people who have medical equipment inside their bodies and stuff like that, they were urged not to use the iPhone 12 next to wherever they, if they have a pacemaker or whatever and stuff like that.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that can be pretty bad.
So I don't know. I don't know that Apple all the way thought through that, but it'll be interesting to see kind of how they play with these magnets, and what kind of things. It's also been talked about being a little thicker, 2.6 millimeters, I believe, is what people are saying.
The phone body gets thicker, or the MagSafe?
The phone body, yeah.
Oh,
so it's going to be slightly thicker, but the same kind of design. So, they kind of always say this, that it's going to be bigger and stuff like that. But, I don't really put a lot of effort into it. So, they said that it's not going to be the reason it's getting thicker though is not part of MagSafe, because they're putting different things in there. So it'll be interesting.
I've heard they're adding Wi-Fi 6, what is it? Wi-Fi 6 like E or something like that?
Wi-Fi 6E, because the iPhone 12 has Wi-Fi 6, and then so Wi-Fi 6E is the next version of Wi-Fi. So which will be kind of cool because I have Wi-Fi 6 at home and it's super fast.
So question about like the potential size increase. Does Apple normally do that like generation to generation? Because I feel like if you just bought like all your MagSafe like cases and all your MagSafe, just I guess the cases and accessories.
Yeah,
like
so I don't know. They've kind of done different things with it. Obviously, the iPhone 11 and the iPhone 12 cases are not compatible with each other because of the design. I want to say that the iPhone. So we went to the iPhone 11. So the 10s, the 10s and the 11. I think you got extra cameras in the sensor. So you had to buy new cases from the 10s to the 11. But normally they don't change cases that often. So it's rumored, but I don't think it's gonna get thicker, because obviously we don't want to make thicker iPhones. We want to be, much thinner, but it's obviously not much of a difference too. So it'll be kind of interesting to see, where those go. Again, this could just be an early prototype that they're testing out different things, and stuff like that. People just don't have the knowledge.
Yeah, we don't know yet. Could be thinner. Could go the opposite direction.
Yep. So the other big thing, and I guess I've read a lot of topics on this, and a lot of people are like, well, 75% possibility of this feature.
Oh.
And it is the portless iPhone.
Oh, man.
So everybody seems to be talking about this, like from what I can find out, that the iPhone 12, or excuse me, the iPhone 13 will be portless. Mm-hmm. I find this very hard to believe, though.
So do I,
honestly. I've said this in the past, but I will say it again. CarPlay. There is not enough services out there that offer Wi-Fi CarPlay. You can still go out there and buy Mazdas, and I believe that they still don't support wireless CarPlay, which you still have to have a port to plug that in. And I feel like that's a big downfall for those type of features that you want, So if you just bought a brand new car, you're not going to go out and buy a iPhone 13 because you can't use your CarPlay, or you have to get an adapter to run your CarPlay. Now, they did this kind of with the 30-pin connector when they released the because a lot of cars had built-in 30-pin connectors.
Oh, that god-awful thing.
Yeah, 30-pin connectors, and then they came out with the Lightning port. Yeah, and so you had to buy an adapter for your 30-pin connector if your car had a 30-pin connector built into it, and then you would put the adapter on it and then plug it into your iPhone. I could see them maybe trying to do something with this, to making Wi-Fi possible, but I honestly don't see it. Like a portless iPhone, I just don't know that we're ready for it yet.
I think we could see it. I think it's going to happen.
Do you want to join in Roy and ours bet? Roy thinks it's going to happen, and I think a $20 bet. I have to go back and listen to the podcast. But if any of you guys want to take that up on me, I'll bet you $20 that it's.
I mean, here's the caveat that I would need, because I could believe that Apple would do it, but I think that this is another scenario where they'd put it on like the Pro Max. They just throw it to the most expensive version, where the customers who are already paying a ton of money for an Apple product who are also likely to pay just as much money to, I don't know, retrofit their life around this portless iPhone or something like that.
Yeah, that seems more, I would say that's more realistic. People that are going to spend the money on the Pro, I think, are going to be the ones that I don't like ports. I'm so sick of them. And then, yeah, I think the budget phone will have a port.
Yeah, you can't unport the iPhone mini right after you introduce it. That seems crazy to me.
Yeah.
I still don't think that there's going to be a portless iPhone. So
what if they announce the Apple Car?
Your car.
I still think that they're a little ways away from that too. But here's the other thing too: diagnostics. So Apple, when you take your phone into Apple, you still have to have diagnostics, and I mean, they could put a different port on there or a different connector to use for that feature, such as the iPad, which has a. Let me pull it up here. Oh wait, mine doesn't have it. They used to have. Oh yeah, mine doesn't have it now. They used to have a 3 little connector to connect your keyboard to it. It was
it's like a series of copper circles at the bottom.
Copper circles, yeah, at the bottom, and you use that to connect your accessories to it. And it'll be kind of interesting to see that. But I just thought of this now too. Here's another thing I thought of. So my keyboard connects for my iPad, and there's no port there. So I don't know.
It just kind of magically connects, or
never mind. Here's the 3 little pins.
On the back. Yeah.
It's on the back on this photo.
That's more elegant than a port would be if they decided to go with
if they could actually transform CarPlay through these ports, if they put this on the back of the iPhone or on the bottom of the iPhone, perhaps maybe we could see like a little MagSafe type connector, that would connect to that to run CarPlay off of it.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Hear me out. You have a problem with your iPhone. You take it to the Apple Store. Then the Apple Store employees enter in a special code, and the back is motorized and opens up, and there's a port on the back for them. That sounds like something else.
So there wouldn't be that, but there would be like there could be like an internal testing port where they have to open that up and then do a diagnostic inside of it. But I still find that
SIM card tray. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I still find that hard to believe too. But if any of you guys want to take the bet with me, I will bet you $20 that the next iPhones all have ports.
I think if I took that bet, my caveat is pretty terrible odds, like 25% versus 75. That's awful.
Well, no, they say 75% chance of having a portless iPhone.
Oh,
is what rumors are saying.
A portless iPhone. Nah.
Tim's like.
I do think they could do that. At least one of the iPhones will be portless.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Like after a year where they've introduced an iPad with USB-C, right? One of those iPads had USB-C, or all of them did, if I'm correct. If I'm remembering correctly. And then they just released the iPhone, doesn't have USB-C, has the same Lightning port. I'm just committed to them having it forever at this point.
So here, I'll do this with you, Tim. Okay, $20. $20 if I'm right. If you're not right, I'll give you free ice for a year. Anytime you come over, I will fill up a bag of ice for you. You know your wife would be so happy with that bet. Like, think of all the ice you could get.
Yes. Oh, man.
Wait, so if Tim loses, he loses $20, but if he wins, he gets a lifetime supply of ice, or a year supply of ice?
A year supply.
I'll do
a lifetime. I'll do a lifetime supply of ice for as long as I have the ice maker. I can't guarantee if it breaks down, but anytime you want ice, you come over and I'll give you a bag of ice.
Wait a minute. What's the warranty on this ice maker? How long do they guarantee it for?
I don't know.
I think for $600, it's gonna last a long time.
I don't know if I can make that bet. As much as I think there will be a portless iPhone, I just don't know if Apple's so unpredictable sometimes when it comes to this kind of stuff.
See, he's already second guessing himself.
I don't know. It's so easy to be like, yeah, of course they will, but then when I have to actually put money on the line, that makes it more difficult.
Do you want a payment plan for that bet?
Tim, think about it this way. They would have to have everybody have a new MagSafe charger, buy a new brick, and then probably create some kind of other port like the one that's on the back of that iPad at the bottom of the iPhones, and then also sell some kind of connector for that on the side.
So you could,
that's
but
a
here's
lot
the
of
thing:
stuff.
you don't have to have a MagSafe because you could do wireless Qi charging, so you don't have to have the MagSafe charger.
Sure,
you can still charge with the Qi.
Matt, what you just described about all the accessories you have to buy, that exactly sounds like something Apple would do. Like, Tim Cook's probably listening, and he's like taking notes right now about, we can do all this.
Like, if they didn't remove the brick from the boxes for obvious money reasons, maybe I could see them releasing a new charger or new port or new something. But this is just getting crazy. I don't know. It's up to you. You can have time to decide because there are more rumors. Maybe once we talk about a couple more rumors.
We'll come back to the end of it if you want to consult with your wife too on this, because she might really like this ice maker. deal. Like that's a good thing. Lifetime supply of free ice.
I'm
All
not
you got to
gonna
do is
drive
come
to
over and bring a bag.
Bellevue every time I want ice. I would go to Chick-fil-A and just steal their ice.
There'll be a Chick-fil-A by where he lives too.
But just think, you could come over. It only has 24 pounds of ice. So if you bring like a cooler over, I could fill your cooler up with ice.
We have an ice maker. It's just not the cool little pebbles.
It's not the cool pellet ice.
No,
Yeah,
it's tiny. It's the like big pieces.
Speaking of cooling, do you think that the new iPhones will have some type of active cooling system? Because they be getting hot.
they have been talking about that. They have been talking about ways to cool down the iPhone.
I'm thinking
yeah,
fans.
so
Just
that's
spinning
that's
fan.
some, well, and there's talk of that, and then there's talk of software optimization, to help cool down the phones, and then also like because you have to really think about it. Where are you going to put a fan inside this iPhone? If you've ever seen the inside of this iPhone,
No.
there's no possible way to put an iPhone in there. But the new M1 Max do not have fans in them, and are like they're not loud at all. They don't get hot. So they've found a way to do it. I feel like they could do it still with the iPhone. So I think that they're going to get a lot cooler, but I don't think it's going to be by the way of a fan.
I don't think so either. I watched someone side test an iPad and one of the new iPhones like side by side because they're using the same like processor, and the iPad was able to play at like max resolution, probably like Fortnite or Genshin Impact, I think, one of those two games. Completely fine. Played through it for a couple of minutes, nothing happened. Switched to the iPhone, played that a little bit into it. The screen got like super, super dim as a way to compensate for all the battery draw and the heat that was being produced. So
I just took off my MagSafe charger, and it's actually pretty hot. Like I feel it. I feel the heat through it. So yeah, I mean MagSafe definitely does charge it at a faster speed and a higher wattage output. So I feel like there's ways to cool the iPhone down, but I think it's got to be with software optimization and with possibly a newer chip or chip design to take some of the pressure off of that. So the last thing that I have on my list is, well, there's two things on here, is a 120 hertz Pro display, which has been talked about and said that it's going to happen finally on this one, and an always on charging display, or an always on display, which will display the time and the battery.
kind of similar to how the Apple Watch currently does it, at least the latest iteration. Okay.
Well, I mean, my Apple Watch stays on all the time. Like I still see everything. It just kind of fades out a little bit. So they're talking about you'll always be able to see the time and the battery, but you may not see all your notifications or that type of thing because they don't want to drain your battery. And this is something that Apple has probably been working on for a long time because always on displays are on other phones, but Apple doesn't do it until they can do it right. Besides Apple Maps, they did wrong in the first place, but
they admitted they did it wrong.
They admitted, they came out and said, we're sorry, this didn't max up to us. So they've obviously been working on this feature for a long time. I think it'll be interesting to see it on the iPhone. I hate it on my Pixel because I can see it in the middle of the night. And I usually like a dark room, so I will probably turn it off, or hopefully it will turn off at bedtime, where you can have a setting where, when you go to bedtime, it turns it off.
Tim, do you use like an always on display on any of your phones?
No, I always leave mine off just because I don't, as much as they'll say like, oh, it doesn't use much battery life, I never really trust that. It's still going to use battery life, and also I'm always afraid of screen burn-in. I've seen it, especially at Fred Meyer. It's everywhere. So I don't trust it.
Yeah, I can't say that since I have the Galaxy phones, they have a version of always on display, but I never need the notifications. I never really need the time, so I just leave it off, and you can tap the phone and the time comes on, and that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
Or
And
you're wearing a watch.
Roy's very loves it. I don't mind it on my watch. Like, I actually kind of find a benefit to it.
That's where I think it makes sense.
Yeah. So I don't really see like needing it on an iPhone because, again, like, I mean, I see it on my Pixel, but I don't really use it. I don't really like it. So I just been too lazy to try and figure out how to turn it off. 120 hertz Pro display. Anybody have 120 hertz Pro?
I have a 90 hertz on the one. The One Pluses have high.
Yeah, and
display.
the Pixel 4 XL has a 90 hertz, but
it's beautiful. I would love to see it on the iPhone. I think it would be awesome on the iPhone. So I hope that one's true.
And like I said, a lot of people have said that this is happening. Oh, Roy says I do. Roy has just joined the YouTube.
Roy has joined the chat.
Yes. So the 120 pixel display, awesome feature. I think it would be great on the iPhone, especially for gaming. Even though you can't play Fortnite on it, but long overdue, I feel like. So
I've never actually in person seen a 120 hertz display, so I was just kind of checking out what you would gain by going with a 120 hertz display. Watching people like scroll one at a time, the smoothness that you get on the 120 hertz display was definitely something that if you added to more phones in an Apple style with like battery optimization, 5G optimization, all the things that Apple is doing behind the scenes, looks pretty awesome. If Apple can pull it off, because we'll see if they can cram that into the other phones while managing everything else that they're managing.
So there's been I didn't have it on my list, but there has been another one talking about it that we could see reverse wireless charging possibly too. So you could charge your AirPods.
I don't believe it.
I don't believe it either, but
yeah,
they've talked about it. And then
cool.
one feature that I'm really excited about, and I'm hoping that they do make it, because I did go down to the smaller iPhone, and I will probably stay with the smaller iPhone even when I go back to work and traveling and everything, going back into the office and traveling more. I would like to see like a MagSafe battery pack. Where if I really needed extra battery juice, like I could pull out of my backpack and grab a charger and MagSafe it back to the back of my phone. And
how does that not exist?
I know.
That's
right.
Well, I'm sure they're working on it, but again, they want to do it right,
True.
And MagSafe batteries haven't come out at launch time generally for a while. Like usually it comes out like a few months or 6 months afterwards. I feel like they're still working on the design on this, and maybe how to also keep it from overheating the iPhone and whatnot. So hopefully it'll come out in my 12 Pro, because I would buy it. But hopefully, if it doesn't come out in the 12 Pro, it would come out with the iPhone 13 or whatever they're calling it. I will mention that there have been some other aftermarket phones that have come out with battery pack chargings, but I haven't tried it yet. And one of them that I looked at didn't get very good results and didn't have very good reviews. So I'm kind of waiting for something, a little more, but a lot of people have put out like, prototype displays and stuff like that to kind of see. So anyways, that's all I have on iPhone 13 rumors. Again, we'll have to wait until we see, but you have something?
Two more things. One was that there's rumors that there's going to be on the Pro and the Pro Max up to 1 terabyte of storage space, which apparently is the
They've
first
always
time
been saying this, though. They always say that it's going to go up
every
to
year,
1
do they?
terabyte, and then it never does. Like it's
The,
just not a rumor. I don't trust anything when they say rumors about
mhm.
storage space, because they were back in the day, they were going to say, well, we're going to give you more space at the entry level, and now you do, but like it took a long time.
Oh yeah.
So I don't see, and with so much cloud like and music storage and stuff like that, I just don't see the need for a 1 terabyte iPhone. But
Mm.
I mean, I could be wrong. There could be people out there that will probably fill up a 1 terabyte iPhone because they don't want to subscribe to a music service. Instead, they just want to sit there and download all their music that they've had for the last 10 years.
I also think it's kind of not too much for a phone, but kind of ridiculous to have on something like an iPhone 13 mini or something like that. But with the Pro Max and like the raw photo shooting, I could see wanting more storage space on that if you're like on the go and you want to make sure that you can record as much as possible. I could see it happening for that phone, but for like the average consumer, I feel like 1 terabyte, at least in today's day and age, is probably too much.
Yeah, no, and I agree. Like, I feel like that could be I mean, again, with Apple RAW photos and taking a lot of 4K video and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If that's your thing, then yeah, that would be a great tool for it. But I just don't know that there would be a lot of people out there that would buy it. I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong. So,
especially when you can like.
And
Get
you
an
just think about the
adapter and
price
plug
tag
something
on
else
it too.
Oh.
Like, I mean, it's going to be like $1,600-$1,800 for a 1 terabyte iPhone. Like, do you really want to, like
Do you
an
want it to be more
iPhone,
expensive?
an
than,
iPhone 13
yeah.
Pro Max is probably going to be like $1,800 for a 1 terabyte.
With like freaking 2 max with like 4 X's.
Yeah.
The last thing that I had was LiDAR on all of the phones.
Yes, I did hear that the LiDAR sensor is going to be moved onto the all phones. I did hear that, and I could suspect that happening. So, and I'll just say, like, they've got to find room for the LiDAR sensor, because I think they put it in the 12 Pro Max because they had a little more room in there. So maybe getting rid of the port will make room for the LiDAR sensor in all the phones. Tim, you want to take that bet? You ready?
So, and the reason why I would like it to be possible, though I have no idea whether or not Apple would or why, other than I want them to continue pushing anything that has to do with Apple AR or VR technology. Yeah. So if they
and
can,
I haven't played
it,
around with it. I haven't played around with it because it's not in my iPhone. I know Roy has played around with it a lot, but yeah, I agree that it should come to all the iPhones, and it probably will this year. I'm kind of curious to how they're going to get it in the especially the iPhone Mini, because that's already a pretty tight configuration.
Yeah.
So how do you get a LiDAR sensor in there? I mean, we'll see.
It might not even be something that they do within the next year or a couple years, but I think that eventually they'll probably work on the technology to bring it to all their phones, especially if they're working on the Apple Car, and if that's going to be self-driving, because they're probably going to need LiDAR for that.
Yeah, and one of the other things too, I just thought of this too. I was watching one of the videos, and I can't remember who it was, but they also talked about the back of the iPhone being a more matte finish.
Yeah.
And that would be kind of interesting too. I would like to see a more matte finish to the iPhone. So
I think it would give it a distinguished look from the previous generation. So
yeah,
I'm all for that.
Alrighty, there you have it.
Yeah. Anything else, or was that all the rumors worth speaking about? No more.
The folding screen.
Apple
not going to happen in this.
What iPhone do you think we'll start to see folding?
Give us a number.
iPhone 2020.
I think it's still like 3 to 5 years out, I would say, for Apple to do a folding screen iPhone. What do you think? Roy says 2024.
I like you
That's-
said. Like you said, Apple likes to, when they do something, they want to make sure they do it right.
It's not because remember when Samsung did it and they had to take all the phones back from the YouTubers because
I mean,
they were cracking the screen.
They're still all pretty much not good. Like all of
Yeah.
the foldable phones, they are better now. Like they work, but yeah, like you were saying, they would like crack them or they would peel off the like film / the actual screen off of the phones. It was a mess.
I
still think 3 to 5 years. I would say.
I
Before
think
we see a folding iPhone.
What year is it? 2021. I'm going to say 9 years. I think we'll see it in 9 years.
You want to take a bet on that?
No.
I'll say 8 years. All right. Well,
Alrighty.
thank you all for joining us live on this episode of the Goopplycast, and to all those listening on the go. Thanks, Roy and Joseph, for stopping by. You'll be able to find our replays on YouTube and the podcast version of our episodes on all your favorite podcasting apps, including iHeartRadio. Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook for updates on the podcast and to be notified of our video reviews. I've been your host, Matt Carter. For Matt, Tim, and Roy, thank you for watching and listening. We'll catch you next time on the Goopplycast.